Welcome to episode 4 of the Frightfully Good Vodcast with your hosts tonight, Renata Daniel from Newcastle Ghost Tours and Anne Rzechowicz from Oz Paratech. Tonight we're continuing with our series, the ABCs of Paranormal Strangeness. And no, we are not burning the set, but we are cleansing and clearing. And tonight we are on the letter D. And we're going to be talking about Doppelgangers and Arthur Conan Doyle. Join us and share the podcast with your friends. And we'll see you back in a second. This is for your benefit, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
And no, we're not going to need pizza in half an hour. Welcome to the show, everyone. I am Anne from Oz Paratech. That's
Renata Daniel from Newcastle Ghost Tours, and together we are...
Oh, so frightfully good.
And welcome, everyone. Hello, Rochelle. Hello, Maxine. Hello to all the others. Oh, Riazza.
Is it Razor?
Riazza.
That's such a fabulous name.
How beautiful. And
you
thank
have to teach
you.
us how to say that.
You're a newbie. You're a newbie.
Do it phonetically for us so we can work out how to say your name. That's a great name.
Yes, let us know where you're all from. Hello, Jenny.
We're based in Newcastle, New South Wales, in Australia, if you can't tell by the accent.
Hello, Apple K Rumble. Just love that name.
Hi, Jenny. We're just giving people a chance to come on. Hi, Maxine.
Hello,
I got
Susie.
your question.
Hello,
and
Jody.
I'm actually going to do a little video about it. So it was a very good question. What's the difference between an SB7 and an SB11?
Excellent.
So we will do a little video on that later tonight and pop it up.
So I've got a few people.
Oh, Susie, Jody, hi. And
South Australia. Yay!
Yay! And there's Jody. Hi, Jody.
Hi, gorgeous. Don't you be going spreading that photo of me.
Cessnock, Nick Knock. I love Cessnock. I used to go up there all the time when I was working. Would you believe I was a professional musician? I actually worked up in the vineyards quite often playing in a string quartet, flute, but I was the manager so I could play what I wanted. I called it the mini orchestra. And I actually spent about 25 years doing that. I only just pulled that business up about 2 years ago. I found my paranormal life has taken over. I don't have time to do the professional music scene anymore. And I was getting a bit old to be lugging keyboards through the vineyards and sitting in the rain. I tell you what, it's not a glamorous life as a musician.
So you've changed that over to lugging ghost gear and sitting in the dark.
Yeah,
right.
In 40-degree heat at 1 a.m. in the morning. You know, it's fun.
Yeah, we just love that. Now, as you lovely ladies and gents know, we now actually record this vodcast as a podcast in 2 sections. So we both have a topic to talk about tonight, and so we initially record the first topic, and then we stop and we record the second topic, and that goes up on our Podbean podcast. For those that can't listen live and who might like to replay it when they're in their cars
driving, as I do. I listen to podcasts all the time.
So we kind of do that, and so please forgive us if we stop in the middle and we turn our recording device on, and then we sort of stop midway and do that.
We have a very non-pregnant pause.
No.
That ain't happening.
That's about as technical as we can get, and so that's just about
Hi, Jody.
What we're going to do.
Oh, Peter as well. Hi there. All right, put the glasses back on.
All right.
Hang on. I've just got to pause for a second. You ready? Oh, who's going first?
You, because I went first last time.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
So here we go.
So welcome to tonight's episode on Doppelgangers. This is the Frightfully Good vodcast and podcast, so that we have some people watching us live on Facebook, So those who are listening to the podcast, I will do my best to describe what is happening.
And this is episode number 4, and it's part 1 of episode number 4, and it's all about doppelgangers.
Doppelgangers.
We are going through the ABCs of paranormal strangeness, and we are up to the letter D.
Yes.
And we were going to be doing demons.
She wouldn't let me do demons.
But that's been covered so many times. It's boring. It's boring as shit. Let's do something else.
Yeah. So does anyone know what the word doppelganger actually means? It's a German word. So I'm going to get you guys to write underneath there, without checking the Google Akashic records, what does the German word doppelganger mean? In actual fact, it's 2 words, 2 separate words which they have combined to make a new word specifically for this type of phenomena. So it's, we've actually got a little sticker there, so now we can work out where our eye line is meant to go. So we're hopefully looking at you now. So it's an apparitional double or counterpart of a living person. That can be an astral body or a bilocation. So this is according to what the parapsychologists say. So I've looked at it from a couple of different angles. So the parapsychologists are saying that it's a living person. Now remember the other week we talked about bilocation, didn't we?
Yep.
Where they've had some sort of event that allows them to split from their being, their live being, to astrally project their image elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
You got that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it's they think it's an OBE. Now you might have heard that term thrown around a little bit. It's called an out-of-body experience. OBE, not an award given by the Queen. Not anymore. I think they've changed it anyway. Our beautiful Graham has an award from the Queen, you know.
Does he?
He does.
Wow.
Yeah. That's Graham from Triton Copy Centre, Cardiff.
Just a plug.
Just a plug. So sometimes they say that like the doppelganger might appear when someone is ill, and they'll interact with the family, and the family going, oh, well, we thought you were sick. It's weird that you're here talking to us. And then, that person goes off, and they get a phone call a couple of hours later saying, oh, no, that, your beloved, whoever it is, passed away 48 hours ago. And they went, no, they were here in our lounge room. They came in and talked to us. So that's one version of a doppelganger. So they look identical.
People, though, are going to the evil side, I see. They're going to the dark side.
I'll get there. I will get there with that one. So as I said, this is the parapsychologist's version.
That's right.
Right? The parapsychologists. And they all work from the idea of that you have power in your mind to be able to manipulate things. Some people are stronger with it. Some people are weaker. And they are saying this is an out-of-body experience of a real live person. Now, I don't know if anyone knows of Twin Stranger. No? Anyone heard of Twin Stranger? Okay, that is another version of what a doppelganger is. They reckon that every person on the planet has a twin stranger, someone that looks exactly like them, but it is not related. So there is actually a website, if you're curious. It's called twinstrangers.net. Look it up and have a look at some of the examples of the twin strangers that are not related by blood that look identical to each other.
People tell me they see me
I've had
all
that
the
done
time.
too. I said, yeah, we saw you walking down
Yeah.
such and such a store. No, that's not possible. Oh, dead ringer then.
Yeah, you look so much like la-di-da-di-da.
Yeah. So that can also be, the dead ringer is a doppelganger. It's someone who looks just like you, but is not you. Now, then we move into the like the urban legends. Sorry, the smoke is getting to me.
I've turned it off. It's gone.
The mythology is what I'm getting to now. So the doppelganger, if you saw a doppelganger, it was actually like an omen of tragedy or illness or death of the person who was copied.
Mm-hmm.
Now, supposedly, so the folklore goes on to say that they are ghostly apparitions or entities. Oh, hang on, someone's got a story there. Oh, guess if you've got some stories about doppelgangers, please put them up there and we'll read them out. So they say that it's either your bad luck or someone else's bad luck. But, you know, they go on about being the how do you say, harbingers of darkness. Darkness. So we might as well be on demons now. Bad luck and sometimes straight up pure evil.
Let's not mince words.
Yeah.
It's
So
just evil.
I've got a few notes, and I'm trying my best not to read from notes because we got some very good feedback saying that people don't like it when we just read from notes because it gets a little bit boring. So, you know, my memory's not that great anymore, so we'll do our best. So the mythology is that they appear to you or someone else at any time bringing negative omens. They might also try to mess with your head. They might attempt to provide advice to the person they shadow, but this advice can be misleading or malicious.
They're leading you astray.
They're leading astray. They may attempt to plant sinister ideas in their victim's mind.
Yes.
Or cause them great confusion.
Yes. As they then take over their bodies.
See, this to me then sort of sounds a little bit like mental health. When they're hearing the voices, having apparitions, is it a mental health thing or is it a real thing? We'll keep progressing through and see what else. They may try to interact with you. With others as you. All right, so they will appear and pretend to be you, which adds a whole hell of a lot more confusion. So, you know, they sometimes they're referred to as the evil twin.
Remember movies? Have you seen movies where this is happening, where there is a doppelganger that appears? I'm sure there have been Hollywood
I was going to write down the list of movies. There is a whole heap of movies about doppelgangers. Because I really enjoyed when we did Amityville Horror and read out the whole list of movies that was attached to it. But there's at least 5 or 6 with the name doppelganger in it that I saw, and there was part 1, part 2, you know, goes on and on. They advise that you should never interact with your doppelganger because that brings even more bad luck.
It's opening the portal door, literally, or allowing... And when you look at kind of the stuff they say about Satan and the devil, they say the devil has no power unless you invite him in.
And acknowledge them.
So is this kind of like overshadowing that and all the same sort of thing. Interesting.
So sometimes they can be mischievous as well. It's not just always dark. And the copying of you going out into a public situation. Imagine if you said, I'm not going to go to the party tonight. And then your doppelganger turns up, gets pissed, sleeps around with everyone there, dances naked on the table. And then you sort of see your face all over Facebook the next day going, what the hell? I didn't do that. It was a doppelganger.
Try explaining that one.
Sometimes said to remove the one they have copied. So sometimes they will come and remove the living original carbon copy, carbon, not the copy, and replace them so that parents don't know. And there's also reports of children who have been replaced by doppelgangers, and they steal the bodies.
This kind of strangely goes into so many other stories of different paranormal circumstances. They're all starting to interweave. Yeah. Isn't
it the bird, the woodpecker or something that puts their eggs into another nest and gets another bird to raise it for them?
I don't know.
Yes, and there's another term as well. I can't remember what it is. Hi, Brad. How are you? We don't want to ignore the boys.
The men, no.
We can't ignore the men. We get in trouble. Apparently we're not racist. What is it? Sexist. Yeah, no. So they're rarely violent, but they can be very mischievous unless they steal your body. Who knows what happens to them? Maybe they're taken off to fairyland. Anyway, there is a famous story.
Oh.
A famous story of
Yes.
a doppelganger.
Yes, there is. There is.
Abraham Lincoln apparently saw a doppelganger of himself in a mirror. He said that he saw his own reflection, but there was distinct differences between the face that was looking back at him was very pale and sickly looking. And he shared what happened with his wife, and his wife said, well, I'm really worried about this because I think what it means is that you will serve out this first term in office, but you won't survive the second term.
Oh. Was she a bit of a medium and a psychic, his wife? Was she? I actually think she was. I think she actually predicted that he was going to be assassinated.
I hope she didn't do it just so she could prove herself right. Oh no, she wouldn't have done that. Surely not. She had a good position in life there. So the fact that the image was not quite the same. So when you see them in a mirror, you see this in movies quite often where you get the reflection of someone that looks just like you, and they originally start mirroring you and then they start to do something different to you in the mirror.
Yeah, that's a bit creepy.
That's very creepy. So it ended up being true. She was spot on about that. Now, how can you tell if it's a doppelganger? Well, first off, now this goes against what they just said, that you can't see their reflection in a mirror or water.
Oh, okay. So,
but when they were saying the doppelganger, the reflection, the doppelganger was in the mirror.
Oh, okay.
Right? If the doppelganger had been next to him, their reflection would have shown in the mirror or the water. So that crosses over into vampire, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah. They have no shadow.
Vampire. Yep.
And if you see the version of yourself in the mirror, they are distorted. That's not quite right, not quite the same. So the doppelganger in the mirror is not quite the same. All right. So I found another little site there that was talking about what do you do if you see a doppelganger?
Yeah. Yep.
Right? Okay. So you look at your doppelganger. Now another site said don't look at your doppelganger. Don't interact with it. But these guys were paranormal investigators, and they said you should look at the doppelganger because what happens is normally when you see a doppelganger, you might see it in your peripheral vision, and you think you've seen something. And then if you're too scared and don't look at it, then you're going to assume you did see it. In actual fact, it might not be. It might be someone who looks similar to you. So if you turn and look, then you can confirm whether or not it truly is a doppelganger.
Right.
Oh, by the way, did anyone work out what the name doppelganger was?
I haven't seen it come up at all. No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Well, I've got all my notes down there. We'll see if you got it. We'll look back in a second. So the other thing they said to do, and this is paranormal investigation page, is touch your doppelganger. So this way you'll know whether you have an optical illusion or whether it's real. As I just poked Renata.
Ew.
The next thing they suggested you do is speak to your doppelganger.
Hello, you look just like me.
Have a little chat and might find out you've got a distant relative that's genetically compatible and you've actually got a long lost cousin. Hopefully they're rich and they've got no one else to leave money to and you've just become a millionaire. Yeah, maybe not. And quite sensibly, they say also to consider the fact that it might be a mental health issue and ask other people, can they see what you are seeing? Now, that doesn't mean it's necessarily mental health. That may also mean that they don't have the ability to see what you are seeing. But you should get a second opinion if you are starting to see things and hear voices telling you to do things. There's nothing wrong, you just need to get it checked. Yeah?
Can I just tell you that a lot of medications can cause some of these effects too? My husband is on a particular medication at the moment to try and help him with some issues that he's having health-wise, and he is having the most interesting things occurring, and they are certainly in that paranormal realm, but it's not mental health. It
Yeah.
is the medication that is screwing up the brain waves that are happening.
Oh,
Yeah.
I've just noticed Grant's there. Hi Grant, how are you? Grant,
Grant.
and Tim are two of our Patreon parastalkers, and they have very generously supported us, which you can too. It's pinned to the top of our page if you want to know more about Patreon and support us in the work that we are doing, and hopefully bring you some more content. Anyway, so the other thing is realise that your memory is fallible. So you may be convinced, once you start telling the story that you saw a doppelganger, you may convince yourself that you saw a doppelganger. So they suggest that maybe you undergo hypnosis to get down to the actual thing that happened. I think it's probably going a little far. And the last thing they said is don't panic.
Of course you wouldn't. You would never panic.
People who have seen their doppelgangers have been alive for many years after. So they say that if you see your doppelganger, it means you're going to die soon.
Yes,
or
that's an old wives'
yeah,
tale.
or the person that you see as a doppelganger will die soon. So yeah, that's my little story on the doppelgangers. And of course, the doppelganger itself, doppel is double and ganger is walker. So it's a double walker.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I hope you enjoyed my little talk tonight on doppelgangers.
Can we leave your legend of Lady Deborah for after
Yes.
Sir Arthur Conan Doyle?
Sure.
Because I don't have that much, because I didn't want to bore you with his whole story. So I think the legend of Lady Deborah would be fantastic. But
We've got Deborah Ann on. We've got the legend of Deborah coming up, Deborah Ann.
I just have a little message that I received as I was driving into town, and so I'm going to pop it out there. And if anyone knows of this beautiful spirit that contacted me,
all right, a dead person contacted you. Right, thank you.
Please let me know, or if it sounds similar for someone, please let them know. So I'm driving in this evening, and just coming over the overhead bridge at Hamilton, over the railway station there, and a lady by the name of Olivia comes in to say hello. Now,
wow, that's very specific.
I believe Olivia and who she is connected to, I'm not sure whether it's actually grandma or whether it's mum who is trying to make the connection here. So it's either mum or grandma by the name of Olivia. And I'm trying to piece things together, and this gets really hard because I don't want to try and make it fit. But the surname may actually be Hamilton, and that's why the Hamilton connection has been made. So it could be Olivia Hamilton, but it may not be. It may just be that...
There's a Hamilton connection.
Yeah,
right.
There's some sort of a Hamilton connection. And the other part of this is that she would have used the train to come into Newcastle, possibly to visit relatives here. I believe she came from Wagga. I believe she lived in Wagga and would come to Newcastle. Oh, I'm getting the heebie-jeebies now, so I'm right. To visit relatives here. I believe she died of a heart attack, and I believe that her anniversary of death or an important event is happening on the 13th of February. I did also receive a piece of music which refers to her.
It's still in my job now.
And it was Diamonds and Pearls by Prince. And she may be wanting to connect with someone by the name of Sean, a man by the name of Sean. So I'm just going to pop all of that out there. If it makes sense to anyone who is watching this
or listening,
please let us know. So we've got a lady by the name of Olivia with the surname possibly Hamilton. She took the train from Wagga, where she was living, to come and visit relatives here in Newcastle. Not sure how old she was when she died, but she would have died of a heart attack. There is an anniversary date or some special date around the 13th of February, which she wanted me to note. Diamonds and Pearls by Prince. Have no idea what that was about, other than she may have dressed really well, or that may have been a song played at her funeral. So I don't think this is a very old spirit. So this is maybe something
unless
that's
it's an old spirit who's into the latest music.
Unless. And there is a connection with someone by the name of Sean. So she's just trying to get a word out there to say hello, and that she is around. So this sometimes happens when I'm sort of driving or getting somewhere and I need to send a message to someone who's going to be online or watching or at an event. So I'm just sharing with you guys. If it means something to you, please, please, please let us know. Yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to finish off the first episode.
Don't go away. It's only the first half.
So first half.
Got
finishing.
What's Up Anne's Goat coming shortly.
So stay tuned for the next part.
She's pressed the button. How are we all? I feel like there's not enough shenanigans going on anymore. We've got all serious with good content. Bloody hell. Okay, so I would like to say thank you personally to all of those people who came on and left us a fantastic review. We had an issue last week on Thursday. As you know, we do our free tarot show, and I mentioned the word free again, where we give one question, one card, and we crack it out for about half an hour, and we try to get through, oh, thank you, Bonnie. We try to get through as many questions as we possibly can. Now, we had one person come on, and I'm not going to mention their name, it's irrelevant, and they asked their question, could they have a card? But we had 600 people on that night. That was by the end of that half hour, we had 600 people. And we got through probably about 20 readings. So we cracked them out pretty quick. And it just happened that they all happened to be females. So this person then left us a 1-star review saying that we was sexist. And if you're female, it's all right. You get a reading, but if you're male, you don't. Now, this particular person has had several readings from us over the 2 years we've been doing this. So they've had their fair share. And yes, I was skipping people that I recognised their names and knew that they'd had readings because I wanted to give new people a chance. So I packed the poos about that because I thought that was pretty unreasonable. And it got up my goat. But I very politely sent them a message saying that I was disappointed. Because we have tried to help in the past and we've been very friendly, and I thought they were a mate and they were a parastalker, and I don't know whether this person was just having a bad day or what it was, but no apology was in sight, so, you know.
Yeah, and
sayonara.
As we always say on Thursday nights, it is really, really difficult. It's an impossibility to get around everyone. And we do it in our own time, of our own free will. And if it is something that is not appreciated, you don't have to be on there.
Yeah, you can bugger off.
You can just leave. There is always a...
And this is not you guys. We know you guys appreciate what we do. And look, there's ways you can help us, because you know what Facebook is like. You've got to have interaction. So by putting some hearts and smiley faces while we're chatting and talking, that's fantastic. Putting in a comment is great. Sharing our feed and doing watch parties, thank you. Also helps us. Make sure you've liked our page, that you have subscribed to our page. And if you like what we do, please, we'd love it if you'd leave a review. I'd like to say that because of all of you guys, we buried that 1-star review right down to the bottom, and our 5-star rating came back. So thank you, thank you, thank you from the bottom of my grotty little toes for doing that for us. Book a reading. Oh yes, yeah. That's what I reckon. Book a reading. Now, Renata, you do readings, don't you?
I do.
When do you do readings live, face to face?
I know. I am currently at Ishka in Cardiff, so that's in the main street of Cardiff. For anyone who lives around Newcastle or the Central Coast area, you can come down and see me at Ishka, Cardiff, Thursday to Sunday. And I'm now going to be starting at Witch and Willow at Warners Bay on Wednesdays.
So what sort of stuff do they have in Witch and Willow?
They have absolutely fantastic stuff. A little bit witchy, a little bit, just my type of stuff there. So you have to come in and just have a look at all the wonderful things they have at Witch and Willow. So that's at Warners Bay. Look it up, Witch and Willow. Just a tiny little shop in the arcade, but full of goodies. And I'll also be doing healings there as well, because they do have a space for healing. So I'm kind of expanding and sort of being able to do healings there at Witch and Willow as well.
And what sort of healing do you do? What sort of technique do you use?
I do energy healing, so they're quite intuitive. So I can either do a cleansing, clearing, a chakra balance, or if there are particular issues, problems health-wise, I will concentrate on those. But more than anything, it is a clearing of stuck energies and energies that have been carried by the body for a really long time. And what I'm trying to do...
You've got to plug chakra, love. You've got to release your plug.
Yeah, loosen all of that shit
up. This is what we need. Oh, keep going, keep going.
Loosen all of that shit up so that you can sort of carry on and, yeah. Right.
So that's your root chakra. I love my ding donger. I got that in... Where did I get that? Dublin. All the way from Dublin. What can people do at home to help keep their energy clean and clear of shit and negativity?
Psychic hygiene.
Oh, psychic hygiene. Look what I've been doing. This is what I've been doing.
Don't burn the house down.
No.
Don't burn the house down.
Give me a little bit of... I've got my little cauldron here. Where did I buy that? I bought that somewhere as well. I quite like that. It's got the lovely triple moons on the front there.
You bought that, I think, up in the Blue Mountains.
Oh, there we go. So I'm putting a little bit of herbs and flowers and lovely smelly
some
shit.
Frankincense.
Oh shit! You dropped me frankincense. All right, and that's going to generate some nice stuff. And do you know what I've been doing? I've been going, shit be gone, shit be gone. Been using another word too, which is see you next Tuesday. See you next Tuesday. Be gone.
And by Jove, it's working.
It is.
So what can you do at home?
Yeah, what can you do at home?
Yes, you can do some smudging. And I do suggest that you buy the proper smudge, not the incense sticks.
Yeah.
Incense sticks are okay, but they're really for smell more than anything else.
And they're actually got more sawdust in them than they actually have the herb that you need to be able to remove that negative energy.
Yeah, you can actually sit down and have a nice cup of tea, and that's been mentioned because a lot of the teas that you buy now have herbs in them that are really, really good to sort of settle you down, calm you down, and they also have a multitude of different uses that will interact with in your body. So a nice hot cup of tea to just pop you back into your own body.
Cup of tea, Bex, and a lie down, you'll be fine.
You can actually have a good shower.
Oh, jeez, I just smudged up at that.
Good shower with some smudge soap.
And a good loofah.
Some lemongrass soap, or, something like that to give you a good scrub. Scrub yourself down and scrub everyone's energy and all that sort of shit off. Remember to scrub the bottom of your feet too.
She's going, and remember to scrub, I'm thinking...
Bottom of your feet, bottom of your feet.
Where's she going with that loofah, love? All right.
Yeah, so there are some really, really simple things. You can get some crystals as well to wear, so that also helps sort of balance out some energies. But more than anything, it is about your thought processes. So no amount of herbs, no amount of teas or smudging.
The white sage soap when you have a shower.
Yep. Anything like that is going to help unless you mentally also deal with it. So you have to mentally work at removing anything that is sitting in your mind that is creating blocks, anything that may have been gossip, anything that may have been said to you that you feel has hurt you on any sort of level.
Karen, we've got Karen Dawson on. She just said that she found out that her grandmother actually worked as a maid at the Great Northern Hotel in the 1950s, and she could have been there with us. on Wednesday night.
She could have.
Yeah.
And we've got a few more dates coming up for the Great Northern Hotel too. So
Now, they are going to commence renovations on there. So once renovations commence, the ghost tours will stop.
Yeah.
So if any tours come up, look for the Great Northern page in Newcastle. It will only be midweek. They're too busy on weekends, too noisy on weekends. And get in while you can. You get a main meal and a 2-hour ghost hunt. That's what it is? Yeah. So get on to the Great Northern, follow them, and also Renata will have it on her page. It will go onto the Frightfully Good page, but this is going to be a very limited opportunity to investigate this location.
Yep. So we're just going to start the second part of episode 4.
Maxine. Nice.
So we are back, and we are here in the second half of episode 4 for the Frightfully Good vodcast and podcast with your hosts, Anne Rzechowicz and Renata Daniel, and we are talking about paranormal strangeness, and we are up to the letter D.
Yes, this is part 2 now. We're on to one of my favourites.
I know.
love Sir Arthur Conan Doyle.
Arthur Conan Doyle. And where did we go last year?
Baskerville Hall.
I know. It was so exciting to be in Baskerville Hall.
He used to go and visit there all the time.
Yeah.
And we were sitting in the parlour and we thought, Sir Arthur would have sat in this parlour with his pipe and had chats around the table, and we're here where he was. It's so cool. They've got statues of the hounds of Baskerville up everywhere.
Up at the front of this big mansion, there are 2 big hounds that sit at the doorway.
And I remember that in the hall that we had choices of rooms, and we wanted to make sure we got our 2 beds. Much as I love Renata, I don't want to share a bed with her. And I upgraded us to the special room, and it was huge. It had a big giant queen bed and 3 single beds, a separate bathroom that was almost as big as most of the motel rooms we'd been in on the whole trip. But what got us was the giant bathtub in the middle of the floor of the bedroom, which faced the TV.
Mm-hmm. Didn't use it, no.
None of us were game enough to get in the bathtub.
One of us would have had to sit in the shower in the other
in
bathroom.
the toilet.
Hi
Karen, how are you?
Whoever else was having a bath. No, that's way too intimate.
Yes.
But it was...
I'll pop some photos up. I'll find some photos and we'll show you the picture of the bath with the gold swan water spouts and everything.
It was hilarious, but it was amazing.
I've got a video of your reaction. Actually, you're walking in. I have to find it.
It was amazing. And to think that Sir Arthur Conan Doyle actually, like you said, sat and would be smoking his pipe and thinking about the wonderful series of books that he wrote, which he hated, Sherlock Holmes. He hated Sherlock Holmes. Absolutely hated it.
Oh, wow.
He killed Sherlock Holmes off. And the community went into such an uproar, he had to bring him back. Fancy that.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm just going to talk briefly about Arthur Conan Doyle and his connection to spiritualism and the paranormal.
So why are we speaking about Sir Arthur Conan Doyle on a paranormal show?
Because his surname starts with the letter D.
And we're up to D this week, and we didn't want to do demons.
And I like Sir Arthur Conan
I do too.
Doyle. So he actually started off in a family that was very, very Catholic. But interestingly enough, at a very early age, he decided that he didn't really see eye to eye with what the Catholics
Catholicism?
were talking about. The problem was that he actually studied to be a medical doctor, and his family said to him, hey, look, if the Catholic Church and the guys that we know up high can sponsor you, it will mean that you will become, more famous and, a
might have been
uptown doctor.
As famous as us.
Early on, you can do this very, very quickly. All you need is a sponsorship of the church. And he actually said, oh, thanks, Dad, but no. I don't believe in what they are saying, so I will do it on my own. Right? So he didn't want to be a hypocrite.
Good on him.
So
the smoke.
I I will tell you after I finish this 14 facts that you did not know about Sir Arthur Conan Doyle.
Doyle.
And that's kind of really interesting. But of course, yes, because he didn't really do as well as he could have in the medical profession, he started to write as a sort of an extra thing and possibly to bring in some more money. Problem with all of that was that when he started to write his Sherlock Holmes novels, they went gangbusters, and he was actually making more money from the sale of his books than he ever would have being a doctor. And
because Penny Dreadfuls were really popular during that time, and people were soaking up those sorts of mystery horror type of things.
And so he kind of got really upset about this because he'd studied so much to be a doctor, and all of a sudden he's making money from these silly novels which he thought were, not really that important. Yeah. But in 1881 he started to develop an interest in spiritualism, and he attended a lecture on it. Now it really grabbed his interest, really grabbed his interest.
I just had a little moment of a little aha.
Yeah.
It's a bit like all these workshops and things that they'd give you a free talk. And you go to the free talk and you go, oh my God, this is what I've been looking for all my life.
And that's what happened to you.
You sign up for marketing of all sorts of stuff, and then $9,000 later you go, what the fuck did I do? Anyway, sorry, go on.
Yeah, so this progressed, and he really got into the whole spiritualist side of things, and this is in the late 1800s, so spiritualism was kind of waning a little bit, and he was really worried about that. The other thing was that by that stage, spiritualism was entering into an era where there were a lot of people who were charlatans and doing really awful things. Yeah?
So spiritualism, just so people know, is a belief in the existence of the soul after death.
Yep.
So that you could still communicate with your loved ones after they died.
Now, in 1893, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle actually became or joined the British Society for Psychical Research. Now,
it's a mouthful, that one.
The British Society for Psychical Research, all they ever did was collect stories. And all of those stories are still available to be searched through. They did some of the largest, full-scale interviews and collections of information ever to be done. And this information is all stored still in the offices of the Society of Psychical Research. But
British Society of Psychical Research.
And just to let you know the type of people that he was associated with, we had people like the Prime Minister, Arthur Balfour at that time, philosopher William Lodge, naturalist Alfred Russel Wallace, scientist William Crookes, who we talked about last week, and Oliver Lodge. Crookes and Lodge were really good friends, and they actually had a word that they developed. So whoever died first would try and send the word. Yeah, try and send the word through.
I've given my husband a secret word. I actually encourage you all to do that. I don't know if you've got a safe, maybe put a secret word into an envelope and put it in a safe somewhere, or put it somewhere safe. And when you pass, we'll see if we can find out what that word is. Really
now,
cool.
I have to read this part, so excuse my eyes for reading, but I want to get it right. He became very interested in ghost hunting, and here is a little story about something that really tweaked.
Oh, did he twerk or tweaked?
Tweaked his interest. So in 1894, Colonel Elmore asked the organisation to investigate mysterious sounds emanating from his home in Dorset in England.
It was the chicken he'd had the night before. It wasn't good.
At night, Elmore, his wife and adult daughter could hear, chains being rolled across the floor.
What is it with ghosts and chains?
And the moaning that sounded like a soul in torment. The family dog refused to enter certain parts of the home, and most of Elmore's staff had left. Well, that's a tragedy. How can staff leave?
That's it. My sceptical mind's kicked in already.
So Conan Doyle, Dr. Sidney Scott and Frank Podmore were sent to investigate the possible haunting. They spent several evenings in the home. However, their results were inconclusive. One night the investigators were disturbed by a fearsome uproar, but no damage or cause for the noise could be discovered. Conan Doyle left the Dorset home unsure if it was genuinely haunted or if the haunting had been a hoax. Yeah. Later, now this is the interesting bit, later the body of a child approximately 10 years old was discovered buried in the garden.
Oh, no.
Conan Doyle became convinced that he really had witnessed psychic phenomena and that was caused by the spirit of the dead child.
So he's had that confirmation bias that once he's found out the death of someone on the site is that he makes everything fit to the fact that it must have been a haunting from that child.
Yeah. Oh, let's let it roll. Let's let it roll.
Okay.
Arthur Conan Doyle became really, really, really enwrapped with spiritualism and what spiritualism stood for and what the message of spiritualism was, in that there is life after death. And these souls and spirits...
It shot down the heaven and hell theory, didn't it?
Yeah.
Completely, which then upsets Christianity no end.
Yes, that's correct. And so in October 1917, Conan Doyle gave his first public lecture on spiritualism. He wanted to present the facts as he knew them for the benefit of mankind. The issue was that he became very, very good friends with Harry Houdini.
Oh, yes.
And Harry Houdini kind of really liked him up until the point where they had a meeting in America, and Conan Doyle's wife at that stage, who was a medium and a psychic, said, "I can connect you with your dead mother." Okay, and Houdini said, "Righto, I take this challenge on."
Because they also had a code word.
Yeah, let's sit down and let's see if we can get this working. And so they did. They sat down, and so Arthur Conan Doyle's wife apparently did automatic writing and wrote pages and pages and pages and pages of information that were allegedly from Houdini's mother. Now, Houdini didn't say anything at the time, okay, but later on he came back and said, "You know what? That's all bullshit." And you know why? Because my mother could not read or speak or understand English, and the information was written in English. Now, Arthur Conan Doyle had a reply to that. He said that the information that was received by his wife came through telepathically, and it would have been translated or interpreted into the English language, and therefore that's how she wrote it down, because she didn't know German. I think Houdini was German. Oh no, he was Italian. Italian. So here we have the conflict. Now, they kind of remained friends, but not really after that.
No, because I mean, first off, he's accused his wife of lying.
Yeah.
And apparently a lot of the information that she was bringing forth was absolutely spot on. And I think it rattled Houdini. I'd read this book, the Houdini and the Witch of Lime Street, and it was really interesting that it touched on that particular story. And it rattled him to the point that he didn't cope with it, so he just had to block it and say, no, it was all bullshit. Yeah. And that's when he planted evidence in physical medium seances to say, see, they're faking it. And yeah.
Now, actually, I just want to read this little bit here because Harry Price gets involved. And of course, Harry Price is a very, very famous ghost hunter. And he was around at the time when, of course, Arthur Conan Doyle was. And he actually said, setting aside for the moment his extraordinary and most lovable personal qualities, the chief qualification that he possessed for the role of the investigator was his crusading zeal. His enthusiasm. So among all the notable persons attracted to spiritualism, he perhaps, Arthur Conan Doyle, was most uncritical. His extreme credulity, indeed, was the despair of his colleagues, all of whom, however, held him in the highest respect for his complete honesty. Poor, dear, lovable, credulous Doyle.
Aww.
He was a giant in stature with the heart of a child.
In other words, he was a sucker.
Yeah, and that leads us to his next unfortunate downfall.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
So in 1920, there were some young girls who reported to have had a liaison in the back garden with some fairies. Okay, so have you heard of the Cottingley fairies? If you haven't had a look, have a look at it. It's a very, very interesting story. But these young girls, boys, they went to some effort. But I want to show you a photo. You'll probably just see it. This is the really, really famous photo that went up. And these are the fairies. Remember, this is a time when photography was in its absolute infancy. So people saw this photo and were absolutely enamored with the fact that this was real, 100% real.
Because how could you fake a photograph, right?
Photographs were magic.
Photographs don't lie.
Yeah. So
and Photoshop wasn't around then.
There was a photo in the Strand magazine at that time showing this particular photo, this young girl with the fairies, and so Arthur Conan Doyle decided to go and interview them. And after the interviews, he actually went and he talked to specialists in the field of photography, and one particular specialist said, no. Even though the photograph was not tampered with, I don't believe that it's true. But another person that he really, really trusted said, it's a fake. It's a fake. Do with it what you will, but it's a fake. Conan Doyle believed 100% that these young ladies were telling the truth.
It's because he has that beautiful, trustworthy heart.
Yeah. And so this literally destroyed his name, his character, everything. It was later revealed that the girls had staged all of this, that the fairies were cut out of a magazine and put up in the garden, and these photographs were taken by them, and all that sort of stuff. And of course, all of that information is another story. Could have done that with C, but never mind. Next time we go around, we'll do that.
Don't worry, we've got plenty. I've just found the Encyclopedia of ESP. We're going to be going for years.
So, that was just so interesting, and to think that Sir Arthur believed these young girls, because from his point of view,
why would they lie?
Why would they lie? Why would they make this up? And you can kind of feel his energy when you talk about that and go, the need for things to be so truthful and so honest to prove everything that he wanted to. And Sir Arthur Conan Doyle actually came to Newcastle.
Did he?
He did. He came to Newcastle,
our
hometown, to give a talk on spiritualism. I actually have a piece of newspaper, an article that says he's coming to Newcastle. Please come and watch this famous spiritualist give a talk on spiritualism. But very, very quickly, 14 facts that you did not know about Sir Arthur Conan Doyle.
Oh, I can't wait. I'm so excited.
So Arthur Conan Doyle was best known for creating the legendary detective Sherlock Holmes.
Yes, that's known.
Yeah, he was born Arthur Ignatius Conan Doyle on May the 22nd in the year 1859 in Edinburgh, Scotland.
Oh, so he's Scottish.
He is Scottish.
Oh, okay.
Did you know the birthday of Sherlock Holmes' sidekick, Dr. Watson, is actually, his birthday is the same birthday as Arthur Conan Doyle's.
They're twins.
Right. So Doyle played cricket. He was on the same cricket team as Peter Pan writer J.M. Barrie.
I was going to say it's the same cricket team as Peter Pan. I'm going, hang on. I know he's gullible, but not that gullible, surely.
So Sherlock Holmes made his first appearance in A Study of Scarlet, published in Beeton's Christmas Annual in 1887. The Killing and Resurrection of Holmes, here we go, in 1893. So about 5-6 years after that first publication, Conan Doyle killed off Holmes, hoping to concentrate on more serious writing. There was a public outcry, and they had to bring him back. So Doyle...
That's right, they do that in Days of Our Lives all the time.
They did. Doyle...
You've been in a coma for 10 years. It was all a dream.
Doyle helped popularise skiing In 1823, Doyle moved to Davros, Switzerland.
Oh, hang on. Davros is in Doctor Who, isn't it?
No, and it's also at the moment really in the news because they're having a climate summit there.
Oh.
And he helped popularise the winter sport. Doyle was also the first Englishman to document the thrill of skiing. You let yourself go, he said.
Let it go. Oh, so he's the one that coined the phrase "let it go."
Yes. It's getting as near to flying as any earthbound man can. In the glorious air, it is a delightful experience, he said. Well, there you go. Doyle played as a goalkeeper under the pseudonym A.C. Smith. Oh, he had to have a pseudonym to be a goalie. Fancy that.
In the football club.
He ran for Parliament twice.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
So my granddaughter is outside going, Grammy!
Oh, and check this out. He coined the caption, License to Kill.
Ooh.
Now, we know where we've heard all of that.
Bond.
That's from James Bond. So it was Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. So he obtained his Bachelor of Medicine and Mastery of Surgery degree.
Oh, that's probably why he had such good details in his
And he drew a funny sketch of
novels.
himself receiving his diploma with the caption, License to Kill.
Ooh.
Wow. It became the tagline for another sleuth, of course, James Bond. Doyle not only wrote mysteries, he also solved a few. One such example is the case of George Edelji, who, thanks to Doyle's efforts, was exonerated for charges of sending threatening letters and mutilating animals.
Oh.
So he took it upon himself to actually solve
Oh.
some mysteries of the time. And this is sad. He died clutching a flower. So Doyle died on Monday, July the 7th of 1930 in his garden, clutching a flower, and the last words were addressed to his wife, and he whispered, "You are wonderful."
Oh.
Doyle believed in fairies, so that goes back to the Cottingley fairies. He started an
Ophthalmology
practice in London, and no one came. That's why he started writing his stories. He was a friend with the famous illusionist Harry Houdini, but yeah, there was a huge falling out. He was knighted by King Edward in 1902, and check this out, he popularised dinosaurs.
What?
Did you know that? No.
He made them a cool thing.
Yes. Can you imagine Jurassic Park without dinosaurs? At the time Doyle wrote The Lost World, the term dinosaur hadn't even been around for 2 centuries. So there you go. We owe a lot to Sir Arthur Conan Doyle.
And do you know
Bless
why
his
he
soul.
got into spiritualism?
Why?
Because his son died in the Boer War. And they had no contact to say their final farewells. And he got a medium in to speak to his son who had died.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was the Boer War. And they got contact, and she provided information that only their son could have known.
Yep.
And that is what put him on the path of spiritualism.
Yep. So we hope you've enjoyed that little bit of information about Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. We really, when we went to Baskerville Hall, felt a deep connection just by being there.
Yeah.
And just thinking to ourselves that he would have wandered those rooms, those stairs, those corridors, and
Magnificent building.
yeah, we spent time just sitting in that energy, and that's one of the wonderful things that you can do when you follow this. You can actually go and spend time in those places that you have read about and think about the energy of the people that have been there and those that are famous with regard to paranormal investigation and ghost hunting, and kind of sit in their brains for a little while and go, wow, it's just so interesting to be at this amazing point in time when we can go and do that. Yeah. So it's really a thrilling thing to be part of, and I feel really blessed at being able to be here right now and doing all of this. So yeah,
with
fantastic.
me,
of course,
you are so blessed.
Of course, but we're going to finish off.
You guys wait there.
You wait there. We're going to finish off.
We'll say
this
goodbye
particular
to our
episode
podcast at the moment.
Podcasters.
Bye,
So
podcast.
See you later, podcasters. Thank you for listening in.
And I have a little bit of news about our trip to America. 17 weeks today, we fly off to West Virginia for the Women's Paranormal Retreat, where Renata and I are guest speakers and also running some workshops. And because we're going all the way there, we thought we might as well have a little poke around while we're there. And we're going to Salem for 3 nights. And we've got Tammy, who we met on Darkness Dave's bus trip. I've met her a couple of times now, is going to join us, which I think is fantastic. But we have found out that the real Conjuring house is 90 minutes from where we are staying.
Who wants us to go? Who wants us to go?
Me!
And go into the real life.
So,
I'm getting tingles up my spine just thinking about it.
I'm getting tingles somewhere else. Anyway, I have messaged the people who now own the house, and
Already?
I have, yeah. So, you know, you may have seen it on Kindred Spirits. It was on not long ago. A paranormal investigator and his wife have bought the house.
Oh, shall we throw some money at them and ask if we can go in?
Chip Coffee was in there with them. So, Chip, thank you, Chip, is one of my friends. I got to meet him a few years ago, and he invited us over to America, and we went over there and were his guests at a convention and all that sort of stuff. So it was fantastic.
You and your husband, not me.
Yeah. So I did name drop Chip. Sorry, Chip. I had to do something. I just need to get my foot in that door. And said that, you know, I'll bring them Tim Tams, I'll bring them caramello koalas, but I won't bring you Vegemite because I gave Chip Vegemite and he said it tastes like arse wipe. That was my name drop. So fingers and toes crossed that those beautiful people will let us go and just get a photo or something. Yeah. I don't know. Put a toe across the threshold. I'd be so excited.
I will tell them that the whole of Australia is going to be watching if we go.
I did. I told them that.
So that would be absolutely fantastic. Now, just a reminder. Please, if you would like to be part of the Parastalkers and be part of
patron.
A patron for us, we do have a Patreon page, and you can donate as little as $2 a month to $10 a month.
It is American dollars, so just be aware that it is American dollars.
Extra content, extra workshops, extra bits when it comes to being at investigations that we share with our Patreon members that we don't share with everybody else because they're special.
We have the $2 level, which is just saying thank you guys, we really appreciate what you do, and then we go up to our $5 pledge, which is the Parastalkers pledge, and they get an extra 30 minutes of tarot reading a month. They get some live crosses and investigations. We're on the page to answer any questions that they may have in their private little group. And then we've got the Grand Pooh Bars. Do you know what I had to do? The story.
Oh,
I forgot the story.
Oh.
Now, this is from one of our Grand Pooh Bars. So the Grand Pooh Bars get extra tarot time every second week. They get extra live crosses. We go on there and we just chat to people, and we share interesting stories with them, and that's for their $10 a month. So we really so appreciate whatever you can offer. If you can't offer finances, that's totally fine. If you can just share our page, like our page, leave us a review, we are eternally grateful for that. But Renata set our Grand Pooh Bars a task.
I did.
And
I asked them all to find a story, a ghost story related to where they live. And
let me say, they rose to the occasion.
They did.
Cara was first one in.
Yay, Cara.
Also, I have to say thank you to our new Grand Pooh Bar, which is Emma. Emma Bunn joined us this week. Thank you, Emma, for your support.
And Cara.
Cara, I think Cara the other night, but thank you, Cara. We love you, Cara. This story is brought to us by Nikki Hamilton, one of our Grand Pooh Bars, and it's about the ghost of Lady Deborah. Now, she actually wasn't a lady as such, married into a family where it was a lord, but we'll get to the story why. So this would be in the 1800s, late 1800s. There was an English lord who became penniless when his rotten brother spent their inheritance gambling. So the lord had to come over to Australia to try and find gold. So he joined the gold rush.
As many did.
Yeah, and he headed to the gold fields in Sandhurst, Bendigo to kick off his going to try and strike it rich. So he began immediately searching for stuff, and he became obsessed with the idea that there was a hidden vein of gold running underneath the town. Now, many of the other miners said, no, you're crazy, mate. We've looked in there. There is nothing anywhere. But he started to work obsessively, trying to find this vein of gold. Now, the only person that believed him was a lovely lady who was a young dancer at the Lola Montez chorus line.
Oh, Lola Montez, she was a honey.
She could crack a whip for that lady. So apparently this Deborah was strikingly beautiful. And she had like the beautiful smile and entranced anyone who watched her on stage. And for this particular English lord, it was love at first sight. So he actually did end up courting her and won her heart, and they got married. So his burning desire was to find enough gold to be able to return to England, to restore his lands and title that he had lost because of his rotten brother's gambling habit, and make his wife a lady.
Oh, how nice.
Isn't that just gorgeous?
That's beautiful.
So he would work and work and work trying to find this vein of gold. And he worked so hard that he became ill. He was unwell. But he didn't want to stop because he wanted to make his Deborah a lady. Oh. So she would stay at the top of the mine shaft and keep vigil to make sure that he was okay so she could be close to him. One bleak day, the Lord failed to climb that ladder. Sound like I'm talking about Jesus when I'm talking about the Lord. So they don't name him, they just refer to him as the Lord. So he didn't come back to the surface, and extremely worried, Deborah persuaded some of the other miners to go down the shaft and find what's happened to her husband. So they climbed down deep into the bowels of the earth. I'm adding that in. And there, at the bottom, was her husband, dead as a doornail, clutching in his hand a big chunk of gold. And right near him was the vein of gold.
Oh my gosh!
So he probably dropped dead from a heart attack when he saw it. So he found the vein.
Oh no.
So this poor woman was so overcome with grief that she had lost her husband that she actually sat at the top of that mine shaft for days and days and days. But sometime during the night, one night, she disappeared, never to be seen again. The police searched for her. Nobody could find her. But there is a legend that Deborah disappeared into the mine to be with her husband and now protects the mine and all those who enter it. And over the years, miners have reported seeing a mysterious woman just before they make a rich strike. Wow. And this mine was closed in 1954, but there has still been recent sightings of a ghostly golden figure in Bendigo area.
That's pretty cool.
It is. Thank you, Nikki, for sharing that story. That was really good. And it was D for our Paranormal Strangers, Lady Deborah.
Yes. Yep.
Perfect.
Beautiful.
Well, that brings us to the end of the show, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So we've covered the Patreon. Oh, now we've got our workshop coming up. We've got the...
Is Your House Haunted?
Is Your House Haunted?
Next Sunday.
It's a 3-hour workshop from 2 till 5 p.m. in the Cardiff area at $60.
Yep.
Learn about the logical reasons about what might be going on in your house, plus the spiritual reasons and how to, pardon me, I've got the hiccups, deal with it. And what you should do and what you should not do. Are we doing a little baggie of some sort of protection in that little workshop as well?
Don't know.
I thought we were. I have to look up my notes. It's been a while.
We can.
Yep. I like doing baggies. I like the herbs.
We can throw something together.
We've got that. Keep an eye out for the Great Northern. Please make sure you've liked our other pages, the Oz Paratech page and also Newcastle Ghost Tours. And if you want a private reading with Renata, message us and we will show you how you can do that. Her tarot readings have been profound, and if anyone can relate to Olivia Hamilton, died of a heart attack.
From Wagga.
From Wagga
Family
area.
in Newcastle.
And the song Prince, please let us know. That would be awesome. She's getting very specific with her information these days. It's starting to freak me out. Also the Seance Parlour. We do private seances for those who are interested in that. And I think that's about it.
Yeah, that's all. That's all. We're over an hour.
That's all, folks.
So, yeah.
Oh, freaking awesome by Lady Anne. By Lady Anne. I like that. Thank you.
Bye, everyone. We
All
love
right.
you to death.
Please
Thank you
share
so
our
very
page
much.
around.
Yep.
Share the stories.
Share
We want to
the
build our
podcast.
audience. And thank you all. And we'll see you on the dark side. Bye.